Welcome in this new set of video of Nextjs 14 with Supabase. We are going to install several packages and we are going to see how the keys are working, the anon key and the service role key. To start this course, you need to create a Nextjs 14 application by going on vercel.com and on typing npx create app latest. So I got my project, which is totally empty. I just run an npm install. And what we need also to do is to have a Supabase project. So here I got my Supabase Nextjs 14 a Supabase project, which is initiated in here. We've got some stats in here, but the project is totally empty for now. So we are going to plug in our Nextjs 14 project to this Supabase project by using actually the SDK of Supabase. But not only, we've got some packages that we can use, especially with Nextjs, to work with the authentication, and those packages are called actually helpers. The first one is the auth helpers Nextjs, which is in beta, that has been used for a long time now, and we can use this package to deal with authentication. But if we go on the official website, documentation of Supabase, we've got this guide by John, Supabase auth with Nextjs app router, and we can see that we've got another package, and they recommend to use the Supabase SSR package for server-side rendering instead of auth helpers. We can also find this package directly on npm. Here, this is the package that seems to do exactly the same as the auth helpers, but we can see that we can use it for other frameworks. So I'm going to come back to my app and I'm going to install the Supabase JS SDK, the basic one that we use since a long time. And then I'm going to use also the auth helpers and the SSR package for the need of this course. So I'm going to type enter and install those packages. If you don't know React Handbook, it's a website that gives all the best practice about React. So you can find it on reacthandbook.dev. And if you click here on project standards, we've got a very interesting part, which is the structure of a React project. So of course, we are under Nextjs, but Nextjs is built on top of React. So we have some interesting folders here that we would use. We can see here that we got a lib folder, which is re-exporting different libraries pre-configured for the application. So I'm going to come back to my project and I'm going to go to the source folder and I'm going to create this new folder called lib. And I'm going to store my Supabase clients directly inside a supabase.ts file. On this Supabase file, we are going to create several clients and we are going to try to see what the keys are working for. Because inside our Nextjs 14 Supabase project inside Supabase, when we go to project settings down here and then when we go to API, you can see here that we got several keys that we can use, the URL, the anon public and the service role key, the GWT secret. I'm not going to use it, but we are going to see what these keys are for. So I'm going to come back and I need also to create a file, a new file, an env file, to have actually here all the keys that I need. So I'm going to set up those keys. So what I'm going to do here at first is to type here the prefix that we will need to for every project. So I got my next public here, Supabase URL, that is coming from where? Here. So this is the URL of the project. So I'm going to click on copy. I'm going to set up my URL. This is the URL that is going to be called to send all my request from my clients that are using my application directly from the clients that we are going to create in here. Then what I want to do is to prefix again another key, which is actually the Supabase anon key. So here, be safe, please respect the name of the keys because some of the package that we have need those names. I'm going to set up another key and this is a different one, which is the service role key. So what is the difference between both of them? Well, the service role key is supposed to be the admin key. The anon key, it's supposed to be for anon or other users that are going to use the application. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and I'm going to copy paste my two keys that I got here, so the service role and the anon public. and I'm going to set them directly inside my project. I got now my keys that I set into the AMP file. Here we are going to use directly the Supabase.js SDK. So I'm going to here type import, and I'm going to use create client coming from where? From at Supabase/Supabase.js. Okay, so here I can create my first Supabase here, my first client. I'm going to call it Supabase, but we're going to change his name after. Create client, and here I need to call first my process.env next public Supabase URL, and at the end I'm going to put an exclamation point, and then I need to pass the key, and here I'm going to use my next here. I'm going to use my anon key to start. So Supabase here and anon here, anon key. There we go, and I'm going to do the same. Okay, now I'm going to get back to my project, and I'm going to go to my table editor, and I'm going to create a new table, and this table is going to be a table views. So basically this is just going to be a table views that is going to record every view every time a user is going to arrive on the app. So I'm going to type view, I will have a created at, and let's say I'm going to put like a name. It's going to be a text, and it can be null. Okay, so I'm going to click on save. It's just for the role of this course. So I'm going to have this name here, and I'm going to save it, and it's going to be good. And there we go. So what I want to do is every time I arrive on my app, I want to just set a new view. And remember, we use the add-on key, which is here. So if I come back to my app folder and I go to the page, I'm going to do some cleaning. I'm going to remove all of this. I'm going just to put a div hello. Here I got my page, which is on a server-side rendering. So here, if I want to pass on client, I can use client. Here, I'm going to stay on server-side. So I'm going to create a function, set new view, and it will be an asynchronous function because we are going to call Supabase. So here, I'm just going to type console log, setting new view, and I'm going to call set new view. So right now, I'm on SSR, so it will be actually here on my terminal that I'm going to see. And when I come back to my terminal, we can see that we set a new view. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just call Supabase. So I'm going to type const, I'm going to receive some data, and Supabase is going to return to me an error if there is a problem. I'm going to call Supabase here, coming from my lib folder, and I'm going to type from views, and I'm going to insert a new view, and I'm going to type a name, random name, and we should be good. Now, if there is data, I'm going to console log the data. And if there is an error, I'm going to console log an error. Of course, I could wrap all of this into a try catch. I'm going to open my terminal. I just trigger my application, and there we go. We have an error, and this error is new row violates row level security policy for table views. Why? Because we didn't write any row level security policy for our table views. Supabase is built on Postgres, and every table needs row-level security policies to get access to. So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to create a new row-level security policy for my table views. So I'm going to unzoom a little bit. I'm going to click here, and we see that there's nothing. So I'm going to click on Create New Policy, and I'm going to insert access for only authenticated people to start. So if I continue, we can see I got insert, I got select, update, delete all, and I will need to create a row level security policy for all these roles, and it will be on expression true authenticated. I'm going to click on review, save policy, and there we go. I should be able to insert an element. So if I come back and I trigger again, we have the same error. Why? Because we are not authenticated yet. That's what we're going to do in the next lessons. However, if I come back and I change my policy here by clicking on edit, and instead of authenticated, I choose another role, and here we see that we got several roles, the anon role and the service role. If I click on anon, what's gonna happen? Let's click on review, save policy. And if I come back to my app and I trigger my app again, I can see that it worked because I have set up my RLS policy on the anon key. And I don't need to be authenticated anymore because on my RLS policy here, I don't need to be authenticated to set a new row, and I used the Supabase anon key. Now let's change. Let's put the service role key. Let's try again. Look at that. It also worked. I got a new view with the service role key. Now let's come back to the anon key. So we've got our next public Supabase anon key. And let's change this RLS policy, not for anon, but for the service role. So I'm going to save that, click on review, save policy. And now, normally we can insert only on service role, okay? So I'm gonna get back, I'm going to try to trigger again, and I got the error, new row violates row level security policy for table views. Why? Because here my Supabase client is using the anon key. However, we got here the service role that is only able to insert a new row inside this table. So basically what we could do here is to have two clients, one which will be actually on the service role key, and actually I forgot here it's supposed to be Supabase service role key. Here we can type here Supabase admin, we can call it admin to use the service role key, and the create client here will use actually the anon key. Depending on the RLS policy that you are going to use, you will be able to insert or not an element. However, even if you have the service role key and there is no RLS policy, you cannot inject inside your table a new row. Let's try. Let's delete this here, this element that we've got that we use as a RLS policy. So now normally we are not able anymore to insert any element to our table view. Back in my app, I'm going to use my Supabase admin, which is using the service role key. I'm going to use my Supabase admin, so I need to import it. There we go. And if I trigger again, we can come back and we've got the same error because we don't got any RLS policy. So what is the main difference between the anon key and the service role key? The service role key is supposed to be used for admin. Be safe with the service role key. Do not give the service role key to your users. So basically here, if it's a public application and not like a dashboard for a private access, I should never have a Supabase admin. I should use only the Supabase anon key. In the contrary, if it's a dashboard, here I can use only the service role key for all my application. We just saw that we can use the anon key and the service role key for two different goals, and we need to use them carefully. This doesn't prevent you to create RLS policy to update, delete, insert elements inside your tables. We can start by using the SDK of Supabase.js, but in the next lesson we are going to see that we shouldn't use the SDK all the time. We should use probably the other package that we installed, either if we are on the client, either if we are on the server-side rendering.